You are listening to Satya ist Antidote Show.
Liberals are very charitable, as long as it's somebody else's money.
And now your fearless host, Brock Lovely.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Brock Lawley. It is Christmas time, a time of charity. And let me tell you, the American people are the most charitable human beings on the face of the earth. That's a fact. We outgive every other country like 7 times over. I think the closest one to us is like the UK, and it's not even close, by the way. And a lot of that is because of the way we framework our government, the way we used to think about our government. It's not a nanny. And therefore, we are to take care of our brothers and sisters. And the American people have exemplified that with their pocketbooks, with their greenbacks, for centuries, really. The American people literally are carrying the water for the rest of the world. But not just the American people in like a broad sense. The 5 best states for charitable giving: Utah, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, and South Carolina. It's such a pattern, ladies and gentlemen. You know, the evil South, the evil, horrible South. You always hear the leftists, the wine and cheese eating Marxists in New York always look down upon those people. Turns out they're coming out of pocket more than any other states in the Union. But now for the worst 5 states in the Union. You ready for it? Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont, Maine, and New Hampshire. A bastion of Northeast highbrow ivory tower leftism. Not even thinking about coming out of pocket. Straight up Scrooging it. And, of course, that is reflective of the way we look at the world. Conservatives and leftists. Totally different perspective on our fellow man. You see, for the leftists, you know, they paid their taxes, the ones they didn't skate out of. And that's for the state to take care of. Step over the homeless man on your way to your exclusive sort of gated community. Well, then you talk about the poor. And let the Southerners, the Southern states, and the conservatives actually take care of the poor, because statistically that's all that's happening. Well, Robert Reich, former Secretary of Labor under the Clinton administration, says that Americans, although they're giving charity, he yields that point, they're not giving to the right charity. According to this leftist, not the right charities. You see, they get to decide what the right charities are. And, you know, I bet if I gave you a couple options, you could choose which ones they would prefer you give your money to. Nothing like your church or the homeless shelter. No. Miseducation and indoctrination centers of the left's choosing. In reality, though, despite Robert's scathing article about American taxpayers giving their own money to charity. This is who he's tongue-lashing. Unbelievable. In reality, though, despite all the claptrap he goes on and on about in his piece, the American charity is largely given to humanitarian efforts, feeding, clothing the poor. And you can look at the stats and facts on this. You have to take my word for it. It's just a reality like gravity. And he's talking about how they're given to museums and art centers and things that only the rich will enjoy. Well, first of all, they can give their money to whoever they want to give their money to. By the way, Professor Rice, he's a ward of the taxpayers of California to the tune of $246,000 Obama bucks a year. And wait for it, this guy hardly gives any charity. This is the guy that we're talking about here. And by the way, you put 10 leftists in a room, and that's going to apply to all 10 of them, I assure you. I had these professors in college that would go on and on and on and on about how us conservatives and us students, you know, we didn't care about the rabble. And then I used to see this guy pull his Lexus into a gated community just off the campus, while the rest of us were living down in the city, down in the hood, trying to work 3 jobs and put ourselves through college. And then we had to listen to this guy drone on about how we didn't care about the poor, part and parcel of the leftist mindset. By the way, these people who are giving their money to charity, and the left doesn't like certain people, the Koch brothers, etc., they're giving this money after it's already been taxed. So Uncle Sam takes this big chunk out of it, and then they still give their money And this isn't good enough. And let's get to why it's not good enough. It's not good enough because it's not controlled by leftists and their greasy status pawns. That's where the reason begins, and that's where the reason ends. Here's the facts again. $36 billion, you can make a case, is deprived of the leftist coffers of government because of tax write-offs for charitable giving. And you know what the country gets for that as a multiplying effect? Over $300 billion of charitable giving to the nation. Not a bad investment, would you say? $36 billion. Oh, by the way, this whole argument is predicated on the fact that our money isn't our money. And of course, that gets to the crux of the argument. This is the way the left thinks. This is the leftist mindset. Your money isn't your money. They're allowing you to keep some of this money, you see, in their omnipotent goodness. They're allowing you to keep some of your money. But see, they can easily take that away if you don't start behaving and giving your money to the things that the left wants you to give your money to. Obamacare is a great example of what they do with your money. Obamacare, $2.7 trillion flushed down the toilet. That's what they do with your money. What the American people do is they give $6 billion to the YMCA every year. They give $5 billion to Goodwill. They give $4 billion to Red Cross. Billions and billions to the Salvation Army. On and on and on goes this list. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, this exemplifies the left right here. The smug, elitist, pretentious attitude to think that you're going to tell somebody how to give their money and who to give it to. But ladies and gentlemen, the reason that the left hates this so much is because it's not NPR. It's not PBS. It's not the National Endowments for the Arts. By the way, they clearly agree that these monies should be given. It's just they decide who gets it, you see. Everything must bottleneck through the state. Everything. Not people of their own volition, not giving away their own money that's already been taxed. No. Because you see, that's not going where we want it to go. That's not pushing the ideology that we want to push. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a great way of looking at it. Look at the politicians. Take the time, look it up. Look at their own giving. Look at leftists, people who identify themselves as leftists, and juxtapose that to conservatives. Look at conservative states, then look at leftist states. Look at America, juxtapose that against Europe and other socialized nations. When the government becomes bigger, the citizen becomes smaller.
Visit the Atheist Antidote's YouTube channel and follow him on Facebook and Twitter.
À Brooklyn, les productions.